So, lifting state up. We start with the default code, like that. And let's get clear out app. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a user login component, a little form to log in. And obviously we're not using a backend or a database or anything, so I'm just going to have class app extends react.component, and this needs to be inside of a render function. And I'm going to have a state in this app. Constructor props, super props. This dot state equals this. Current user equals, or sorry, not equal, colon, null. So we're going to start out with our current user. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. I want to lift state up. Never mind, don't do this here. Until later. We're going to start with state not being lifted up, and then we're going to lift it up. So, in here, new folder, components, and in this components folder, new file, login.js. Render, return, let's just get that to show up on app.js. So don't need the logo. Import login from ./component/login. And here we're just going to show the login component. And it should look like that. This is login. Okay. So in the login component is where I'm going to have a state. Constructor props super props this dot state equals this, and I'm going to say current user null. Okay. And the login component, what it's going to do is it's going to have a little h2 that says, and it's going to be in an if. So we're going to have it like this, and it's going to be this dot state dot current user and an h2 that says welcome, comma, this dot state dot current user dot username. And then it's going to have a form to log in with if you're not logged in. Here we're going to do p-tag username input password. Again, you know what we already know about having two inputs means we're going to have username input being this and password input being this. Our state. And these two inputs, they're going to get value equals this dot state dot username input, and this one value equals this dot state dot password input. And then they're both going to get on change equals this dot update input. This one's going to get the same on change function. And then what they each need is a name. Name equals, and it's going to be whatever their thing in the state was. This.state.password input or whatever, like that. So then, as I type things in the input, it should update the state. And I just need a button in here. Button. Submit. And this form on submit, log me in. So I'm going to make a function called log me in. And it's a very simple function. All it's going to do for me logging in, what it's going to be, is I'm going to take whatever they typed in here, and I'm going to put it in the current user thing. So I'm going to go, let clone equal, actually I shouldn't do that. Forget about cloning it because it's not an array. We're just going to go, let new user equal an object where username is equal to this.state.username input, and password is equal to this.state.password input. And then I'm going to do this.setState. Please set this.state.current user equal to this new user. And also, while you're at it, please clear out those other inputs. Like that. Let's check it out. Okay. Cool boy 55. Oh, I can't type in anything. Why? What happened? I must have. Oh, I know why. Because I never made my onChange function. I just called it a thing and then I just forgot all about it. So I'm just arbitrarily asking it to please update when I change it. So update input, it's got to equal a function, and it's exactly the same as last time. It's this.setState, brackets, e.target.name, colon, e.target.value. Okay, now, if I type in coolboy55, super secret password. You click submit. Oh, I forgot e.prevent default. Okay, one more thing I forgot. What's that in log me in? E.prevent default. Okay, one more time. Coolboy55, submit. Boom, welcome coolboy55. All right. So everything we've done so far is stuff we already know. But what if I want to have a navbar component? Because this is totally normal. I want to have a navbar component, and in my navbar component, I want it to show me a logout button if I'm logged in, but if I'm not logged in, I want it to show me a login button, right? So, and I want it to be a separate input. I want it to be a separate component. I want a navbar component and have navbar and then the login component both in app.js. So let's do that. New file, navbar.js. Okay. I'll just import React from React class navbar extends React.component. And I'm not too concerned about making my navbar look nice or anything like that. And I'm especially not concerned about making the navbar actually log me out. I'm not gonna actually yeah, let's have the navbar log me out. Let's do that. So I'm gonna do a render, return, but my navbar, it's gonna be ugly. So just warning you, it's gonna be ugly. We're gonna have an A tag that says home, that goes nowhere. And we're also gonna have a button that says login. We're also going to have a button that says log out. Okay? And I'm going to put that in app.js. Import navbar from there. And I'm just going to put it right up here. There we are. But the question is, how do I share information from this component to that component? We know how to share information down, but we don't know how to share information up. Basically, to share information, well, here I want to share it side to side, right? Because this login component, I want to share it with navbar. But in React, there is no sharing side to side. And in fact, there's no sharing up either. There's only sharing down. So what you do is, well, I'm going to show you what you do. But the process for sharing up is the same as from side to side, except that side to side has an extra step. So if I want to share information from navbar, from login to navbar, which is what I want to do, what I have to do is I have to share information from login to app, and then have app share the information down to navbar. But from parent and then to the parent's child, because you can only share parent to child. But actually, when I share it from login to app, it's not actually going up. We hack our way into having a thing move up. It's really moving down. I'm going to show you how. We're going to do it through props. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift state up. Yay, it's the title of the lecture. So here, in this state, I'm going to take out current user. Current user is not going to be in the state of the login component because it doesn't belong there. And in fact, this render, where it has this, let's take that out of there. That's going to go in app.js. In app.js, in fact, let's put that right there. And in app.js, we're going to have a state. Constructor, props, super props. This dot state equals, and all I need is current user equal to null. Okay, now, I still want it. Obviously, I want to log in from my login component. I don't want to take that out of the component because that's the whole point of making that component. I want to, let's imagine for a second that I really put a lot of effort into making this form look really nice and whatever. I want it to be its own component. So what I do is, see how it says on submit this.logMeIn? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, well, actually that's fine. I'm going to take most of this. All we really need to do in this.logMeIn is e.preventDefault and then clear out the input. But before we do, we need to do this. In app.js, I'm going to make a function called do the login. Let's not do this yet. Let's just console log do logging in app component. Okay? Then in login, I'm going to pass a prop. Blah equals, you can pass anything here. You can pass a string, you can pass an object, you can even pass a function. This dot do the login. Now, login has this dot props dot blah, and this dot props dot blah is a function. So in here, if I call this dot props dot blah open close exclamation, you're going to see this console log pop up, because if I call this dot props dot blah, that's a function. And which function is it? It's this function. So that's going to happen when I click submit in this login thingamajiggy. Let's see. Logging in app component. So if I can call a function in app component from login, then how do I pass the information up? By passing an argument to that function. So here, this.props.blah, I'm going to pass some arguments. What am I going to pass? I'm going to pass this.state.username input and this.state.password input. Okay? So this.props.blah, what is this.props.blah? It's this.do the login up here. So that means that this function takes two arguments, usrnm and pswrd. Now let's console log those two things. Wow. Cool. So now app.js, app component, knows what I typed in the login component. So from there, the process is pretty straightforward. We got those two things. This dot set state. Oh, sorry, we do the let new user equal object where username is equal to username and password is equal to password. And then this dot set state current user equal to new user. So now at this point, this feature should work, where when I log in, this thing should show up in app.js. Let's see if it works. Coolboy55, coolboy55, bada bing, bada boom. There it is in app.js. So now is the part where we pass. So that's lifting state up to pass it to the parent. But the process now is to pass it to the child. You basically lift the state up and then pass it through props. So now app.js knows who the current user is, right? So navbar, we're just going to pass in whoever is the current user, the user, equal to this.state.current user. This might be null. This might be coolboy55. It depends on, it's ever changing. So as soon as this.state.current user changes, this.props.the user in navbar is going to change too. So in navbar, we've got this.props.the user. And then it becomes easy. Here, login. This.props.the user. Let's say no this.props.the user. If there's no user, show me that login thing. And then if there is this.props.the user and log out. Haha, switch to logout. So how can we make logout actually work? Same process basically. Here, this logout button on click equals, well, we don't have a function. And in fact, we don't really even need to define a function here because the function is really going to be in app.js. I'm going to make a function here called log me out equals function. And all it does is a really simple function. This.set state, it just sets current user back to null. That's what logout does. So I need to call this function from in my navbar component. So that means I just need to pass it in through props. So navbar the user equals that, and then do logout equals this dot log me out. So now in the navbar I got to call this dot props dot do logout. So here on click equals this dot props dot do logout. I think that's all. I think that does it just like that. Let's see. Haha, there it is. And that's lifting state up. So basically the lesson here is once you make you're like for example, for your project, you want everything in your state of app.js. You do not want anything anywhere else because you want the only thing that you want in other components is this in the state that because that's just to track the form. That doesn't affect any other components. So tracking the form is okay in the state, but if you got a user and different components need to know who's logged in, obviously different components are the most basic example is user. All your components are probably going to need to know who's logged in. Maybe you want to show if you have recipes, you want to show the edit button next to the recipes that are yours, so you got to know if you're logged in. The nav bar, you got to know if you're logged in if you want to show the log out, login thing. If you want to, the user profile component, if they need to know who's logged in. So any piece of information that you need to share in a bunch of different places got to be in the state of app component. So basically, when you work on your project, you may work with a bunch of states in different places, but over the course of working with it, you'll run into issue after issue like this where you go, oh, I better move that into app component. Oh, I better move that into app component. And you'll notice one by one you move each thing in app component until the only thing that's left not in app component are the input tracking, the input trackers in the state. And everything else can get passed in through props, and the beauty of it is that anytime the state in app.js changes, the render function happens again. And anytime the render function happens again, all these props get recalculated. And so anytime, if these props are tied to the state in app.js, then they'll never get out of sync, and you're basically, what we're doing here is creating what they call a single source of truth, which is what, basically this is what Redux is for. When you make Redux, it basically takes the state out of app.js, puts it into a separate file, and then all your components just talk to that file. But this is the same idea. We are reduxifying our React app like this. Okay? So that is